All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I'm Anuja Kumar, and with me is Subhadra Ramachandran. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to interact with CEOs of leading global oil and gas companies today. More than 70 lakh people recover from COVID-19 in the country. Campaigning for first phase of assembly elections in Bihar to end this evening. Counting of votes for Ladakh Autonomous Hill Development Council Leh polls to be taken up today. 32 Maoists surrender in Dantewada district of Chhattisgarh. 4-day Army Commanders Conference to begin today in New Delhi. In IPL cricket, Rajasthan Royals thrash Mumbai Indians by 8 wickets in Dubai. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask. Maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing. Focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will interact virtually with the CEOs of leading global oil and gas companies in the annual event organized by Niti Aayog and Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas today. India is an important player in the global oil and gas sector, being the 3rd largest consumer of crude oil and the 4th largest LNG importer. Realizing the need for India to graduate from a passive consumer to an active and vocal stakeholder in the global oil and gas value chain, Niti Aayog initiated the first roundtable of global oil and gas CEOs with the Prime Minister in 2016. A report.
The growth of the event was apparent as around 40 to 50 global CEOs and key stakeholders who shape the global oil and gas sector assembled every subsequent year to interact and discuss the issues and opportunities with the Prime Minister. The impact of the annual global CEOs interaction can be seen in the gravity of discussions, quality of suggestions, and the seriousness with which they are acted open. The objective behind the meeting is to deliver a global platform to understand best practices, discuss reforms, and inform strategies for accelerating investment into Indian oil and gas value chain. The event also grows in stature with the rise of India, the world's 3rd largest energy consumer, which is likely to see over $300 billion investment by 2030 in the oil and gas sector to meet rising demand. Prior to the interaction, the Prime Minister will inaugurate the India Energy Forum by CERAWeek, which is now in its 4th year. Anupam Mishra, AR News, Delhi.
The Health Ministry today said that India has crossed landmark milestones in its fight against COVID-19. In a tweet, the ministry said more than 70 lakh patients have been cured and discharged so far. It said this has led to a surge in the national recovery rate, which has leaped past 90%.
A total of 4,136 new confirmed cases of coronavirus infection were reported in Delhi in the last 24 hours, taking the total number of cases to over 3,56,000. Delhi government said that over 3,23,000 people affected with coronavirus have been cured so far. In the last 24 hours, 3,826 people recovered and 33 deaths were reported in the national capital, taking the total to 6,258. Presently, the total number of active cases in the national capital stands at 26,744. In a relieving development, Mumbai's civic body BMC said yesterday the COVID-19 doubling rate of the metropolis has reached to 126 days. According to BMC, of its total 24 wards, almost 21 wards have crossed the doubling rate to 100 days. BMC's additional municipal commissioner Suresh Kakani said that the doubling rate is slowing and daily growth rate of the virus is coming down. He stated that these are good signs.
Gujarat recorded 919 new cases of coronavirus in the last 24 hours. The recovery rate has improved to 89.46%. More from our correspondent.
The total cases detected so far in Gujarat has reached up to 1,67,173. 1,49,548 patients recovered from COVID-19 till now. 963 patients recovered during the last 24 hours. More than 57,42,000 tests have been carried out in the state till date. Maximum 227 new cases reported from Surat, while Ahmedabad recorded 174 new cases. At present, total active cases in the state are 13,936, out of which 65 patients are on ventilator. 7 patients died yesterday, taking the total death due to COVID-19 up to 3,689. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
In Karnataka, the total number of COVID-19 cases have reached the 8 lakh mark, with 4,439 new cases being reported yesterday. The total number of cases has now increased to 8,02,817. On the other hand, Karnataka reported more recoveries than the new COVID-19 cases for the 11th consecutive day. 10,106 people were discharged from the hospitals post-recovery yesterday. The total number of recoveries has gone up to 7,10,843. 32 COVID deaths were reported, and the total fatalities have gone up to 10,905. More from our correspondent.
The state conducted 1,511 COVID tests yesterday, which includes 82,782 RT-PCR tests, and the total number of tests have gone up to 73,81,601. Among the new cases, Bengaluru urban districts reported the highest number of 2,468 cases, and the lowest number of 7 cases were reported from Bidar district. 81,050 active cases are taking treatment in various hospitals in the state. Among them, 939 are in ICU. Murthy, AIR News, Bengaluru.
In Tamil Nadu, the new COVID-19 cases have dropped below 3,000 mark after about 4 months. 2,869 people were confirmed with the infection in the last 24 hours. They include 764 people in Chennai. The active caseload remains at 30,606 people. We have more from our correspondent.
In Tamil Nadu, the data on the pandemic shows clear signs of weakening. The active caseload has gone back almost to the levels of June 26, while the new infections have retracted to the June 24th level. This is despite the increased quantum of tests now. The recovery rate has gone up to an impressive 94.14%, while the case mortality rate has dropped to 1.54%. Medical specialists insist that all should invariably wear masks while moving out, as the situation is not yet ripe for going back to the pre-COVID times. Meanwhile, the State Agriculture Minister Duraikannu, who was admitted into a corporate hospital in Chennai for COVID-19 treatment, is now put on life support systems. Chief Minister Edappadi Palaniswamy and a few of his cabinet colleagues visited the hospital yesterday and inquired about his health. Jai Singh, AIR News, Chennai.
In Odisha, the COVID-19 active caseload has further come down below 17,000. This follows a recovery of 2,071 patients yesterday, as against 1,633 new cases. While the COVID-19 cumulative total has increased to 28,12,015, the tally of recovered patients has gone up to 26,41,002. COVID-19 fatalities in the state has increased to 1,245.
In Bihar, COVID-19 recovery rate has improved to 94.69%. This is 4.69% more than the national average. The number of active cases in the state are continuously declining. Currently, 10,229 patients are undergoing treatment at various hospitals. Over 2 lakh patients have so far recovered from the infection in the state. Talking to All India Radio News, senior medical expert Dr. Narendra spoke about the critical situation due to negligence in view of festivities during the ongoing pandemic. He advised people to stay connected socially and follow all COVID protocols to stay safe.
आप सोशली कनेक्टेड रहिए, फिजिकल डिस्टेंस मेंटेन करिए. दूसरा, जब वायरल देखेंगे बहुत ज्यादा फैलती हैं जब ये विंटर आती है, तो ये भी वायरस है, तो विंटर में उसके फैलने की आशंका बढ़ जाती है. दूसरा, जैसे शहरों में पोल्यूशन होता है, पोल्यूशन में स्मॉग हो जाती है, तो इट मीन्स वायरस की कंसेंट्रेशन भी हमारे अराउंड बढ़ जाती है. यदि आप आज दुकानों पे जाएं, तो आप देखेंगे लोग बिना मास्क के बिल्कुल पास खड़े हुए हैं. तो यदि ये हम सोशल डिस्टेंस मेंटेन नहीं करेंगे, तो ये जो फेस्टिवल हमारे हैं, जो हमारे को खुशी का संदेश देते हैं, दुर्भाग्यवश कहीं ऐसा न हो कि हमारे लिए एक चिंता का विषय बन जाए.
The greatest batswoman of all time and captain of Indian women's cricket team, Mithali Raj, urged people to follow all COVID-related guidelines to stay safe.
I, Mithali Raj, pledge to adopt COVID-19 safe practices and encourage all my friends, colleagues and followers to do the same. I commit to wear mask when stepping out, especially in public places. Maintain appropriate social distance, minimum of 6 feet, and wash my hands with soap thoroughly and frequently. We can and we will beat this deadly virus.
A second wave of COVID-19 has returned to Europe, forcing many countries to reimpose curfews, partial lockdowns and other restrictions. Countries across Europe are implementing new measures to combat the spread of COVID-19 as infections surge and new case hits record high in the European Union. Polish authorities ordered schools and restaurants closed for 2 weeks, while France extended its curfew to affect over two-thirds of the population. France has reported a record number of daily infections. German capital implemented new mask-wearing requirements on busy streets. In Denmark, government has announced a ban on evening alcohol sales and tightened the cap on public gatherings. The government has also reduced the number of people allowed to attend the gatherings from 50 to 10. After the Baltic states of Latvia and Lithuania registered record infection tallies, the two countries implemented new measures to combat the virus. These include limits on the number of participants allowed at events and new mask requirements. Belgium ordered pubs and restaurants to close this week, along with a nighttime curfew and strict limits on gatherings. The country also tightened curbs on social contacts by banning fans from sports matches and limiting numbers in cultural spaces. Spain also announced emergency measures, including curfew. Under the emergency measures, local authorities can also ban travel between regions. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said he will ask Parliament to extend the new rules to 6 months. In Italy, new restrictions were also announced yesterday. The government said the steady rise in cases is causing a huge strain on the country's health services.
Northwest China's Xinjiang Uighur Autonomous Region has reported 137 more asymptomatic coronavirus cases in Kashgar Prefecture yesterday, after one asymptomatic case was found in the prefecture's Shufu County on Saturday. An official statement from Xinjiang Regional Health Authority said that all the new cases are linked to family members of the asymptomatic case detected on Saturday. However, the source of infection of the first case is unknown, triggering the fear of a community spread. The new outbreak comes 2 months after Xinjiang curbed a cluster of infections in regional capital Urumqi in early August. Kashgar is running citywide tests and is hoping to test the entire city population of 4.7 million by Tuesday. Shenzhen officials said the prefecture has initiated highest level of emergency response, and expert groups have been dispatched to conduct medical work in the prefecture's Shufu County, where cases reside. As per state media, some local communities in Kashgar are under closed-loop management. Classes at all primary and secondary schools and kindergartens are suspended till October 30th. Stores in the city will be open as usual to ensure enough daily supplies. Recently, East China's Qingdao city experienced a small outbreak where 10 million people were tested in just 5 days. Bangladesh government has decided that no service will be provided to people who don't wear a mask. The cabinet meeting chaired by Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina decided that no one will be allowed to enter offices without the mask. It decided that all offices must install notice boards saying no mask, no service in order to control the spread of COVID-19 in the country. Briefing media after the cabinet meeting in Dhaka, the cabinet secretary Khandekar Andavarul Islam said people at all public and private offices, social institutions, haat bazaars, shopping malls, other establishments, educational institutions, mosques or other places of worship throughout the country must use masks in view of the ongoing pandemic.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to interact with CEOs of leading global oil and gas companies today. More than 70 lakh people recover from COVID-19 in the country. Campaigning for the first phase of assembly elections in Bihar to end this evening. Counting of votes for Ladakh Autonomous Hill Development Council, lay polls to be taken up today. 32 Maoists surrender in Dantewada district of Chhattisgarh. 4-day Army Commanders Conference to begin today in New Delhi. And in IPL cricket, Rajasthan Royals thrash Mumbai Indians by 8 wickets in Dubai. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
3 steps to stay protected and stay safe from COVID-19. Wear face mask, 2 gaz ki duri to maintain social distancing, maintain hand and face hygiene.
News Services Division of All India Radio brings to you program Employment News in association with the Publications Division, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. An effective platform for information on job vacancies, training programs, admission notices, results and career advice with experts. Every day at 4:20 p.m. on FM Gold and other frequencies and on our YouTube channel AIR News Official.
Welcome back. Campaigning for the first phase of assembly elections in Bihar will end this evening. 71 constituencies spread over 16 districts will go to polls in this phase on Wednesday. Several constituencies going to the polls in this phase are in Naxal-affected areas. Leaders of various political parties are making their last-ditch efforts to woo the voters. They are addressing public meetings and road shows. Candidates are also resorting to door-to-door campaign. More from our correspondent.
Addressing election meeting at Bihar Sharif, BJP President JP Nadda said during the RJD regime in the state, there was kidnapping industry. Now they are talking about employment. Accusing RJD, Mr. Nadda said Grand Alliance has neither roadmap nor vision. Senior BJP leader and Union Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad said, providing of 10 lakh government jobs to youth is mere an eyewash. Seeking votes in favor of NDA, JDU President and Chief Minister Nitish Kumar said he is trying to unite people of different class of society, but opposition is dividing people. While addressing election meeting in Nevada, senior RJD leader Tejasvi Yadav said if his alliance is voted to power, 4,000 per month honorarium will be given to Jivika Didi, old age and widow pension will be increased to 1,000 per month. In Kamur, seeking votes in favor of Grand Alliance, senior Congress leader Randeep Singh Surjewala said there is resentment among the people against Nitish Kumar. He claimed NDA government in the state is set to go. LJP President Chirag Paswan said people are migrating from Bihar due to unemployment. AIMIM leader Asuddin Owaisi, HAM Chief Jatin Ram Majhi, RLSP President Upendra Kushwaha, and leaders of left parties are also addressing election meetings and road shows in favor of their party candidates. With KK Lal's report from Patna, Sanjeev Jasrotia, AIR News.
The counting of votes for Ladakh Autonomous Hill Development Council, LAHDC, Leh, General Council elections will be taken up this morning. Authorities have put in place all arrangements to ensure smooth counting, which will begin at 9 this morning. More from our correspondent.
Counting of votes for 6th Ladakh Autonomous Hill Development Council Leh General Council elections begin at 9 this morning. Final randomization of counting staff completed just before the counting began. As the election authority used EVMs for the first time in Hill Council elections, results are expected by the afternoon. In each round, votes of 7 territorial constituencies will be counted. Polling for LHDC Leh elections completed on 23rd of this month, where 54,257 voters have cast their votes. Apart from this, 2,538 postal ballots and 1,635 EDC votes are also for counting today to decide the fate of 94 candidates.
जो काउंटिंग एजेंट्स सुपरवाइजर्स लगेंगे सबकी लिस्ट तैयार हो चुकी है और जो हमारे ऑफिशियल्स होंगे काउंटिंग में तैनात उनका रैंडमाइज 8:30 बजे किया जाएगा क्योंकि 9 बजे से काउंटिंग है तो उसी समय उनको पता चलेगा किस टेबल पर या किस कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी के लिए उनकी ड्यूटी असाइन हुई है और सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग वगैरह का ध्यान दिया गया है तो ऑलमोस्ट जो हमारी तैयारियां हैं पूरी.
Keeping the keen contest in elections and COVID pandemic in view, the administration has tightened the security and put several restrictions at Sindhu Sanskriti Kendra Counting Center. Ramesh Chandra, All India Radio News, Leh.
In Chhattisgarh, 32 Maoists have surrendered at Dantewada in Bastar division. 6 of them were carrying rewards on their head. Dantewada SP Abhishek Pallav said the surrendered Maoists were influenced by the Lone Bharat 2 campaign being carried out by the police in the district. Lone Bharat 2 means return home in local tribal dialect, Gondi. Under this campaign, the police have earmarked about 50 hypersensitive Maoist-affected villages where pamphlets have been put up with an appeal to surrender. The SP said so far 150 Maoists have surrendered under Learn Varattu campaign.
जो हमारी ये लोन वाटू अभियान था, इसका मकसद ही यही था कि जो लोगों का नाम किसी न किसी कारण चढ़ गया है वो आए, मुख्यधारा में जुड़े, नाम कटवाएं। 30 तारीख तक हमने एक मौका दिया है। इसके बाद जो भी लोगों के पुस्तक में नाम है उनके खिलाफ विधिवत कार्रवाई करके अपराध में उनको जेल भेजा जाएगा।
A 4-day Commanders Conference of Indian Army will begin today in New Delhi. Army Chief General M.M. Naravne will chair the apex-level biannual event that formulates important policy decisions through a collegiate system of deliberation. It will be attended by all Army commanders, principal staff officers of the Army headquarters and other senior officers. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat, Chief of Naval Staff Admiral Karambir Singh and Indian Air Force Chief Air Chief Marshal R.K.S. Bhadoria are expected to address the conference tomorrow. Army commanders are likely to carry out a comprehensive review of the security challenges the nation is facing, which includes the situation in eastern Ladakh and other sensitive areas. Army commanders will also attempt to finalize various reform measures like cutting down on ceremonial practices and non-military activities to ensure a rational distribution of resources. The agenda of the conference also include a briefing by the Director General of Border Roads Organization on the various infrastructure development projects being undertaken by the BRO and allied formations.
Uttar Pradesh government has secured the first rank in one of the most ambitious scheme of the central government, the PM Atmanirbhar Nidhi scheme, Swanidhi scheme. The state approved the highest number of loans under the scheme in the country. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will distribute loans to around 3 lakh beneficiaries and will interact with a few of them tomorrow virtually. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath will also be present on the occasion. More from our correspondent.
State has ranked first in all categories, applications, sanctions and distributions of the loans under the scheme. As many as 6,22,167 applications were received under the scheme in the state, which is highest in the country. Out of these, sanctions were given to 3,46,150 applications, while the loans were disbursed to 2,26,728 beneficiaries. 7 cities of the state also find place in the list of top 10 cities of the country in implementing this scheme. Varanasi, Lucknow and Aligarh are the top 3 cities in the list. The scheme was launched on 1st June 2020 by the central government to help the street vendors resume their livelihood activities that were impacted by COVID-19. It aims at facilitating working capital loan up to Rs 10,000 at a subsidized rate of interest. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
Civil Aviation Minister Hardeep Singh Puri has said that the Phase 7 of the Vande Bharat mission will begin from Thursday, 29th of October. In a tweet today, Mr. Puri said there will be more destinations, flights and bubble arrangements. He said international travel of more than 2.7 million people has been facilitated till now. The minister said yesterday 4,322 people arrived in the country from abroad.
This is All India Radio giving you the news.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे।
अरे भाई सुना तुमने? अरे इस मुश्किल समय में सरकार ने हम कामगारों की मदद के लिए एक और बड़ा कदम उठाया है।
कौन सा कदम?
पात्रता के नियमों में छूट के साथ ESIC ने अटल बीमित व्यक्ति कल्याण योजना के तहत मिलने वाली राहत राशि को बढ़ाकर दुगना कर दिया है। हाँ
अच्छा, पात्रता की शर्तों को पूरा करने वाले जरूरतमंद बीमित व्यक्ति राहत के लिए ऑनलाइन दावा www.esic.in पर करें। अधिक जानकारी के लिए अपने नजदीकी ESIC शाखा कार्यालय से संपर्क करें या फिर टोल फ्री नंबर 1800-112526 पर कॉल करें।
चिंता से मुक्ति। In Kerala, thousands of children will be initiated into the world of letters today as part of the tradition of Vidyarambham. More from our correspondent.
Vijayadashami is being celebrated across Kerala as Vidyarambham Day. Vijayadashami, the 10th and final day of Navaratri celebration that celebrates the victory of good over evil, is considered as the most auspicious day for beginning learning in any field. The ceremony of Vidyarambham is practiced by writing the mantra Om Hari Sri Ganapadaye Nama in rice or sand by Guru holding the hand of the child. Usually the major temples in the state witness heavy rush of devotees today. But as COVID cases are on a rise in the state, very strict COVID restrictions are in place. Authorities had urged to conduct Vidyarambham at home and to follow strict COVID protocol. As crowding is restricted, very few children will be allowed to take part in Vidyarambham rituals at temples and other cultural centers today. Many places like the famous Tunjan Param is not conducting the ceremony this time to avoid gatherings. Mayusha for AR News from Thiruvananthapuram.
Tourism Ministry has launched a unique initiative to encourage and promote domestic tourism in the country. A countrywide special Vocal for Local tour was organized by the Western Central Regional Office of the Tourism Department, in which 6-member team is travelling in a car and visiting different places in the country. The team was welcomed in Mumbai. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has underlined the importance of Vocal for Local in his Mann Ki Baat yesterday, and this unique initiative is expected to create more awareness about the domestic tourism in the country.
In Uttarakhand, the date of closing of portals of 4 shrines for the winter season was announced on the auspicious occasion of Vijayadashmi yesterday. Uttarakhand Char Dham Devasthanam Management Board said that this year the portals of the Badrinath temple will be closed for the winters on November 19th. The portals of Gangotri will be closed on November 15th on Govardhan Puja, the next day of Diwali, while portals of Yamunotri and Kedarnath shrines will be closed on November 16th on Bhai Dooj. The additional Chief Executive Officer of the board, B.D. Singh, said the auspicious time for closing the portals of the Char Dham shrines is arrived at through astrological calculations by the local temple bodies and priests. Last year, a record 2.9 million pilgrims visited the Char Dham.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has congratulated the people of Seychelles for the conduct of free, fair and peaceful elections. In a tweet, Prime Minister said, "This is a victory for the democracy, a common value that binds India and Seychelles." He also congratulated the President of Seychelles, Wavell Ramkalawan, on his historic win in the presidential and assembly elections. On to sports. In IPL cricket, Rajasthan Royals' 8-wicket win over defending champions Mumbai Indians at Dubai has shattered Chennai Super Kings' hopes of sealing a late playoff berth. This is the first time in the history of IPL that 3-time champions Chennai failed to qualify for the playoffs. Today, Kolkata Knight Riders will lock horns with Kings 11 Punjab at Sharjah.
Now let us take a look at the weather update. The national capital Delhi will have a misty sky. The minimum temperature was recorded at 17 degrees Celsius and maximum will be around 32 degrees. Mumbai will see a partly cloudy sky. Chennai, there will be generally cloudy sky with light rain, and in Kolkata, it will see a partly cloudy sky. The minimum temperature in the city was 25 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 32 degrees. In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the minimum temperature was 16 in Jammu, while the maximum will be around 31 degrees. In Srinagar, the sky will see a mainly clear sky. Leh will see a partly cloudy sky. Gilgit will see a mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. Muzaffarabad will see a mainly clear sky. Minimum temperature was 10 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be around 30 degrees. Chandigarh will see a mainly clear sky.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. All the dailies have covered the Prime Minister's strong pitch for the consumption of local products in the upcoming festive season in his Mann Ki Baat on Sunday. Hindustan Times, quoting the Prime Minister, writes, "Stay patient, buy local." The PM also stressed on celebrating with restraint and care during pandemic and to keep India's soldiers in our thoughts with lighting diyas for Jawans as the pioneer. New road in Nathula sector opened. It will bolster defence, reports the Tribune. Big consumer companies bet on growth, raise investments is a front page headline in the Economic Times. Another headline in the same paper reports government puts Patna on bullet train route on the Varanasi-Kolkata rail corridor. And finally, front page in box news item with a photograph of a deserted ground during the effigy burning of Ravan, Meghnad and Kumbhakarn in a low-key Dashera celebration. The Indian Express writes, 3 is a crowd.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to interact with CEOs of leading global oil and gas companies today. More than 70 lakh people recover from COVID-19 in the country. Campaigning for first phase of assembly elections in Bihar to end this evening. Counting of votes for Ladakh Autonomous Hill Development Council lay polls to be taken up today. 32 Maoists surrender in Dantewada district of Chhattisgarh. 4-day Army Commanders Conference to begin today in New Delhi. And in IPL cricket, Rajasthan Royals thrash Mumbai Indians by 8 wickets in Dubai. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.